Welcome back to the channel. Before we dive in, I'd like to express my gratitude for all the comments and interactions. Your likes, comments, and subscriptions really make a significant impact. Alright, let's get back to business. Many pointed out in the previous video, the Wisp's colors didn't match their effects accurately. It's worth noting that the official reveal video and the official reveal page that GG posted had two different answers. So here are the correct colors. No need to screenshot or save them, just hover over the wisps while you're in the woods and it'll display the respective effects. Now let's talk about the Wildwood Ascendancies. I enjoyed the mechanic enough to spend a considerable amount of time interacting with it during the campaign, encountering the Asmiri Wanderers as early as Act 2. There's no guaranteed trick to finding them every time, you just have to follow the associated color wisps and hope you stumble upon them. When you find your first one, consider ascending with them. If you later find one that you want, you can change by selecting Change Specialization. Also worth noting, if you switch back and forth, your unlocked ascendancy points remain, but if you are mid-quest, your progress on the quest is reset. It's good to see they don't let you change specialization if you have backpack items or charms, ensuring that you won't lose them. Progress on Wildwood Ascendancies is per character and not per account. You can work on only one Wanderer's mission at a time, and it's the one you're ascended under. The first 2 points you're awarded just for finding them, and then they give you a mob kill mission. These missions take time, but I found a trick. For example, with the Primalist, I wanted to unlock a slot for my charms. I reset Crystal Veins and followed the blue wisps corresponding to her. You can do this with any zone within your campaign level. These first quests seem to be a pain in the ass, but only because Path of Exile is not known for giving you time to check the nameplate on monsters. But if you follow that corresponding wisp trail, the right monsters seem to spawn along. Just reset the zone, go in the hole, do a small circle to check for a wisp trail, and you're off. If you're already in maps, you can still do this reset trick on Reliquary. The next mission they give you is a mini boss fight, and much like everything else with these guys, it seems completely random. Just follow the wisps. I don't know how much you can do in the campaign zones as I'm currently searching for the King in the Mist for the final mission. The data mine from PoEDB shows a level 68 version, so I assume it'll probably be white maps at the earliest, but maybe you can get them in the campaign. During the resets, if you keep encountering the Wanderers, even if they aren't the ones that you're ascended under, check out their inventory. It is possible to run into more than one of the Wanderers in one run. Since you're resetting, you don't really care about the monsters being dusted in the zone, so use the wisps you gain to buy the items in their shop. Charms can be vendored 5 to 1 to get a new one, but remember that the new one will be the lowest high level out of the ones you vendored, therefore restricting the mods they can have. With majority of the league being Deadeyes and Pathfinders, look for Wither Effect, Onslaught Effect, etc. +1 projectile will be a prefix on a charm and looks like it has a minimum zone level of 81, but if you find it, you're in for some divines. This strategy isn't restricted to charms. Buy the tinctures. These might be a little bit more questionable, but you do want synergistic mods, Culling Strike being a nice one to have. If all else fails, buy whatever ones and just throw them in a 2 to 5C tab. Regarding the corpse shop, I'd reference Gazzy's video linked in the description, as I'm not much of a minion Andy myself, but he seems very excited about these. The corpses might not fetch as much as the projectile charm, but snag any perfect corpses, as these, when spectered, grant auras, and it's only a matter of time before Gazzy releases a video of an incredibly broken specter build. My early favorite discovery was the Nameless Seer. The guy's just sitting there in the darkness, and when you click him, he opens a window filled with uniques. I ended up with a tabby super early. If you figured out what the hell these blue orbs do, let me know in the comments, cause it just looks like it lights up the area, which is beneficial if your wisp trail runs cold and you need to see where to pick it up or find another. In addition to your standard shrines, there are special Wildwood ones that gain things like 200% increased XP for 5 minutes. These are very different from the altars, as you don't know what you're getting into until you've accepted it, and as such, it doesn't seem to have downsides other than a time limit. Speaking of Wildwood altars, these will have downsides much like the Eldritch ones to offset the upsides. Keep in mind the effects of these altars and shrines will persist into your map. If you are fighting a mob and frantically clicking and don't know what you agreed to, you can see at the top where your buff bar is. I'm sure it's common sense to make sure the area is completely clear of monsters before you start clicking things, but too many times I would be at the Warlock dude's shop only to have a cultist spellcaster asshole throwing toads over the wall. In the last video we talked about Trials of the Ancestors items staying while the mechanic itself was gone. It looks like Omens, Hinakora's locks, and the TotA unique items themselves drop in the woods or at the least from dusted monsters. Those of you lucky enough to drop a Hinokora's Lock should treat this like divines and try to hang on to it for at least a week. When the metacrafters need them, that's when you'll get the best return. While I get the mechanic is fun and the FOMO of dusting the monsters is real, you have to keep in mind that Mark, aka Neon, the mastermind behind the endgame bosses that farmed so many of us, was crucial in designing this league. So even with the nerfs to the mob, the fact that the dusting effect will stack with other content will definitely result in some tough maps. If you're having issues killing monsters in the woods, I wouldn't suggest continuing with the mechanic. This will hinder your completion and frustrate you. Just farm up the currency, gear up, and come back to it. As we all know that with leagues like this, the rewards are better in red maps anyways. And that's all I have in this one. I'm glad I actually got to experience the mechanic and not just FAQs, teasers, and reveal videos. Let me know what more you want to see, and I'll see you in the next one.